Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special edition of the Brew City Lounge. I am your host, Brandon. Please go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Wisco_Brandon. Go ahead and follow the show on Twitter, on Facebook at Brew City Pod. I am super excited right now to be coming to you guys live after a major, huge Milwaukee Bucks victory. The Milwaukee Bucks do win, and it was a thriller, to say the least, a up and down roller coaster game. Just absolute must-win game. Kind of felt like we were back watching a 1990s NBA playoff game. It was exciting to say the least. The Bucks do win. Somehow squeeze out a win against these Brooklyn Nets, 86-83. It came down to the last second opportunity for Brooklyn. Milwaukee with Jrue Holiday with a big bucket in that fourth quarter to go ahead in the lead, and then obviously the Milwaukee defense showed out a little bit towards the end of the game to kind of put this one away and move on to Game 4. Before we get out of that, we're going to break down this Milwaukee Bucks post-game show. If you are tuning in on the live feed, thank you guys so much for tuning in. It is always a pleasure and an honor to be here to be talking about our favorite teams tonight. We are breaking down those Milwaukee Bucks and what it means going forward. Obviously, we're going to talk about this game. Where do the Bucks stand a chance going on to Game 4? We got people hopping on the live feed. Jake's dropping a comment. My mom's on here. Adam, thank you guys for tuning in. Absolutely thrilled right now. I didn't know if they would have it in them. They started that game, and we're going to get into it right now with the breakdown of that game. Again, if you are just hopping on, if you do not live under a tree, you already know that the Milwaukee Bucks do win Game 3, a must-win game. They move ahead to Game 4 with at least a chance to even the series, but we're going to break it all down with you guys, and we're going to start with the first quarter. And honestly, the game couldn't have started probably any better in the way that it did. Milwaukee Bucks, absolutely the energy, they were hitting their shots, the game, the rhythm, the flow that we had talked about that they had lacked in Games 1 and 2 was not there. They were absolutely on fire, and it started with their two best players offensively, Chris Middleton and Giannis. The first quarter, the Milwaukee Bucks outscored the Brooklyn Nets 30 points to 11. Keep in mind, Brooklyn didn't get into double digits until there were 35 seconds left in the first quarter. I mean, Milwaukee came with the energy, with the passion and ready to play defense, because in order to beat this Brooklyn Nets team, you obviously got to play a really tough defense. We talked about it with Kevin Holden in our preview show going before this series, that in order for this Bucks team to have a chance, they were going to have to play tough defense, sound defense, and patient defense. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving are going to get their points. You just have to be patient. Breaking down that first quarter, though, Chris Middleton and Giannis, the Bucks scored 30 points in that quarter, and Chris Middleton and Giannis were the only reasons why, because both of them in the first quarter, you call it a statement quarter, opening up that game, you could call it whatever you want to call it. Chris Middleton and Giannis both had 15 points, combining for the 30 points they scored in that first quarter. Also very important, they both added 7 rebounds apiece. That was huge. That goes to playing both sides of the court. Obviously, Giannis was ready in attack mode early. He's going to get ripped on social media for his three-point attempts tonight, and he absolutely probably should. I told you I won't stand for any Giannis slander, but if you want to criticize Giannis tonight, the only thing I would say you could probably criticize him tonight would be those three-point shots early in the first half and late in the second half. So I think it's a push or pull. Obviously, he hit a big one. I think it was late in that third quarter. But again, the defense was phenomenal. I mean, you're talking about this Brooklyn Nets team offensively, one of the best teams. They probably have the best score in the NBA, and they weren't in double digits until 35 seconds left in that first quarter. So it's interesting to see the defense step up tremendously in that first quarter and kind of put a statement down on exactly what this team was going to do. And obviously they jumped out into a big lead in that first quarter. And real quick, before we move any further, I do want to bring on a special guest, a guy that I follow, enjoy hanging out with on Twitter, who I like going back and forth with, my guy Trey. You can find him on Twitter. I'll let him drop his Twitter handle, but you can find him on Twitter. You also find him on 97.3 The Game and out in Milwaukee. Trey, big game. How's it going, man? How you feeling?
How's it going, man? Feeling good. It's always a great time. You get a dub, man, and that was close. We didn't play well at all, but at the end of the day, it's playoffs, surviving advance, and the Bucks did what they had to do to get a win, a much needed win, man. That's all that matters at this point. Often there's so many issues with this game. This is probably one of the worst games I've seen us play in the playoffs. But it's all about winning. So I'll take it anytime we get a W, man.
Yeah, watching that game, Trey, and I was just breaking down going into that first quarter. Honestly, you couldn't have started any better. I mean, defensively, Brooklyn didn't get into double digits until 35 seconds left in that first quarter. Obviously, the Milwaukee Bucks scored 30 points. Giannis and Chris Middleton was all they needed in that first quarter, both providing 15 points and 7 rebounds apiece in that first quarter. Kind of came out and put a statement down. But going into that second quarter is where I was fearful, because right after that first quarter ended, I tweeted out, I said 4 quarters, because you're going to need 4 quarters against a team like Brooklyn, especially with the firepower that they provide offensively in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. The Nets opened that second quarter on a 7-0 run. They eventually outscored the Milwaukee Bucks 31-15. How were you feeling going into halftime? Because I remember texting a friend and I said, Brooklyn's close, and we played probably the best quarter we could have played in the first quarter and just lost it in the second.
Yeah, outside of first, we didn't look good at all for a lot of periods of that game. Going into halftime, I at the end of the day, again, it's the same thing I felt as far as the game. We were up. You got to just be thankful, because the last 2 games you were pretty much out of it pretty early. So I felt good. At least we were up. This felt like a different game, felt like a different feel. Giannis was attacking. Still didn't hit the free throws, but he was attacking, and that was a big difference. And we saw some of that. It just for whatever reason, it happened in spurts and didn't happen all the time as it was supposed to. But again, you gotta win, and that's all you can hope for at this point. So defensively, we got so many things to work on. Brook Lopez is dropping. I don't understand. Yeah. KD's knocking down mid-range jumpers. We're giving up everything that you don't want to give up to the Brooklyn Nets. Offensively, a lot of stand around ISO. We're asking Chris Middleton to essentially be Kevin Durant, and he's tough for him to be able to do it. Drew finally makes a play at the end of the game. He wasn't playing well. He hasn't played well much of the series. But again, I felt okay going into the half because we were up. I don't think Brooklyn took a lead until the fourth quarter. Or was it late in the third that they finally took a lead? Something like that.
I believe it was. Yeah, you're right. I think it was late in the third. Yeah.
Yeah, they finally took a lead, but we didn't let the thing get out of control. And that was the thing. We controlled pace, I think we were a little bit faster. Great. So for all the bad decisions Bud made, and I thought it was a bad decision not to foul up 3, I would have done it. But hey, all is well that ends well. For all the bad decisions Bud made and things that was going on game plan wise, the 2 great decisions that he made. One was not calling the timeout for Drew Holiday at the end there. Let him run. He was moving pretty good. Almost reminded me of the Memphis game where Drew was able to get to a spot and great play, got to the basket. I can't remember who was defending him, but the Nets, they just really weren't all the way back. They did not get back. I think I'd love to look at that again. I think Brooklyn, I'm almost certain that the guys on Brooklyn thought the Bucks were going to call a timeout. And they did not sprint back to get back on defense, and Drew took advantage of it. And the other one, there was a timeout like late in the game, late in the fourth, where it was a beautiful execution after a timeout where Bud got Chris a shot in the inside. And I think Chris went to the hole and got a layup or something like that. It was whatever it was. It was beautiful execution. 2 big clutch plays, clutch decisions that Bud made. Outside of that, he was terrible. But he did. And that's what the name of the game. That's what they did. They did just enough, and that's what they did to get a win tonight.
Yeah, in that second quarter, Trey, I'm sitting there screaming because, I don't like to I shouldn't say this because I do, but I don't want to slander certain players. I love Brook Lopez. I love what he brings defensively. I love the presence that he brings. I love what he brings in the locker room. Offensively, though, I'm probably at my end with him. Him catching the ball in the corner and trying to create his own shot, or and it falls on Coach Bud as well too.
Yep. Sure.
Offensively and defensively, Bruce Brown was taking his lunch money. I tweeted that out, he was dropping everything, and it was right in front of Brook Lopez, and it was driving me absolutely nuts. And look, if Brook Lopez isn't going to do anything offensively, I'm okay with that because defensively, he's such a presence. We go back to last year when Giannis is getting his Defensive Player of the Year award, and he says, I wouldn't be able to win this award without Brook Lopez because of the help side defense that he presents. But that game tonight was not a Brook Lopez game. It was not a Bryn Forbes game. It was not a Bobby Portis game or Pat Connaughton game. I think moving forward, these guys have got to step up. Giannis and Chris Middleton put the team on their backs today. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
100%. And I'll go to I'll kind of go to both your points there on Brook Lopez. I think it was 80%. Brook does what Bud tells him to do. I think we've seen during the season when the Bucks have implemented some switching and different things, some hard hedges. Brook, I know obviously at his best, he plays off and likes to back off. He did it a lot tonight, but that's the strategy that Bud puts out there. So he's going to do whatever Bud wants him to do. As far as the Bruce Brown thing going on defensively, Brook Lopez almost acted as if Bruce Brown was so bad that he didn't have to defend him. And so, and I think that was their strategy was I'm big enough to I'm going to play Bruce Brown, but what I'm really doing is watching everything else that goes on, and I want to protect the paint from everybody else. And what was happening was they were just slipping the ball into Bruce, and Bruce was throwing a little hook shot, a little run, and Brook wasn't getting back quick enough to really affect the play. Now, if you notice, in that third, in the fourth, didn't go that well for Bruce because Brook had to pay more attention to him. And I don't know if that was a Brook thing on his own or if Bud finally said, hey, you actually do have to step up a little bit on Bruce Brown to make sure he could. I think they just thought that Bruce either wasn't going to take the shots or that he was going to be so bad. He was just, if you got a late hand up, that Bruce Brown was going to miss those shots. It wasn't happening. They were going in. But defensively, late in that game, Brook Lopez did step it up. He ended up with 5 blocks. I think at least 5. Maybe might have caught 6 there at the end. He ended up with 5 blocks. He was not good. I think it was because of Mike Budenholzer. Offensively, the Bucks misused. I can't even just put it on Brook because the Bucks misused a lot of guys offensively. I think they misused Giannis offensively. They misused Chris offensively. Drew has become in this series a standby as just a surveillance guy. I don't know what he's doing. He's become just a passenger on the ride, and he's not really initiating a lot, not doing a lot. I don't know what's going on with Drew, but he's also not. Maybe because he's not in a rhythm, he's not making the shots that he normally makes. But you know, when you look at it from another standpoint, you're right. Giannis and Chris absolutely put the team on their backs. I thought Chris more so than Giannis, even for sure. And some of that was just because Giannis was taking bad shots. I don't know who it has to be. If what I believe is, and this is more, some of it is Bud. I'll tell you this, and I've gotten some flack for saying it, but I truly believe it. Giannis may be the lowest basketball IQ star in the NBA. Period. I love Giannis.
Hard to argue that.
I try to protect him from all the slander, but because I don't. To me, the free throw thing, I know that's a flaw. His flaws are his flaws, but he is basketball IQ. Giannis is just awful. He just doesn't have it. He doesn't know rhythm. He doesn't know flow. He just doesn't. There are a lot of things that he just doesn't grasp a lot of times in the course of a basketball game. So I don't know if Mike Budenholzer is afraid, because I know he has a let it fly mentality, but I don't know if he's just afraid to say, dude, you can't shoot that shot. You can't shoot threes. There's no reason for you to take 8 threes. I've heard it 2 ways now. I'm stealing this from people, but I remember, I think it was Jay Will who said that he shouldn't take more threes than free throws. I changed that to he should take more threes than made free throws. Someone else said he shouldn't take any more threes than dunks. So or it was like if you hit 5 dunks before you take a 3. So I want you to attack. I want the whole purpose is you need to be attacking so much more than you take threes. And when you're just bailing the defense out when you take 8 of those. And I mean, you got to break down the tape to him. And it's like, look at the good things that happen. Even when he wasn't scoring, he's making plays for other guys. When he attacks, good things happen. And I know maybe he doesn't want to go to the free throw line. I don't know. But even if you're getting to the free throw line, getting us into the bonus, whatever you got to do, you got to be able to do it to help out. And the more he attacks, the better things go. It's no coincidence to me that this is the most, even though he shot 8 threes, even though he took settle for jumpers, this was by far and away the most aggressive Giannis has been in this series. And the Bucks came out on top. But Chris Middleton, shout out to Chris Middleton.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it. Chris Middleton absolutely pulled the.
Yep. You're at everything you said is absolutely spot on. You got a must-win game at home, game 3, live crowd. Giannis came out and was just in full attack mode, absolutely ready to attack. The third quarter, I was screaming at my TV and throwing my notebook down on the ground because he was jacking up those transition threes, and it drives me nuts. When I started this podcast, Trey, which was about 2 months ago, I I specifically said, I want to see Giannis play with the ball less in his hand. Not that I don't want him to have the ball in transition, 100%. I want to see Jrue Holiday initiate this offense. And more importantly, I want to see Giannis catch the ball down low. When Giannis has the ball at the top of the key, my 5-year-old son knows what he's trying to do with that ball. And everybody knows it. And that's why Toronto, was successful at, quote unquote, building a wall. I believe that wall was also built for Eric Bledsoe because he couldn't score in the outside of the paint, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I want to see Giannis stop shooting those threes, getting the ball and running the offense in transition more, and letting Jrue initiate the offense, in sets, because it seems like a lot of this game, and it was an offensive struggle for both teams. But
I lost you. I can't. I don't.
You got me?
1 second. I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me?
I got you.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can't hear you. Hold on. Let me try and jump out, and then I'll jump back. I
Okay.
lost you for a second.
So that's fine. So we're sitting here talking about Giannis shooting threes and playing in transition. I want to see Giannis catching the ball down low, catching it on the block, making the defense play defense. When he has the ball at the top of the key, all that he is going to do is, everybody knows what Giannis wants to do with the ball at the top of the key. I want to see him down low, catching that ball and dominating the paint. Nobody can guard him in a series. More so, probably a game, maybe Rudy Gobert, maybe Bam Adebayo here and there. But nobody's going to, in a 7-game series, be able to stop Giannis down low in the paint. I want to see more of his outside game, just maybe a 17, 18 footer. But I want to see him work down in the post way more than he does, and I think he's unstoppable down there.
I agree. I absolutely think he can. I was actually trying to jump out and see what his it take the 8 3-pointers away. And I don't know what his percentage was. Obviously, I couldn't jump out and jump back in.
I'll get it for you.
That's what two things. You're right. That his spin move. Everybody knows when that's coming and what that's going on. But just it doesn't matter. Inside, he's tough to guard, tough to stop. Good things happen when he's attacking the basket. He's getting fouled. He's getting dunks. He's getting layups. You want to see more of that. And the other thing I don't like is, I don't mind. He actually hit a couple of 15, 14 footers. He had a little runner. It wasn't really a runner, but it was a standing kind of one, with one hand, just kind of a jump hook off one, off just as right there. Hit like a couple 15, 16 footers. I don't mind. You want to pull up inside the 3-point line and take that shot when guys are giving it to you. I'll let you take a couple of those before you're just out there jumping away at threes. But attack, I also don't really like the fallaways. You're so much bigger and so much stronger than those guys. There's just no reason to be falling back and trying to shoot a Dirk Nowitzki hook, one leg. Just go strong to the basket. And guess what? They're going to miss a few of those fouls. That's fine. But I want you to force the issue as much as possible. Giannis should be getting 15 free throws. And if you only hit 6 of them, 5 of them, that's fine. But figure that out. And like I said, he was really good in the paint. When he did get there, just took way too many shots from the outside.
So with taking those 8-point 3-pointer attempts, so I wanted to break it down for you. He would have been 13 for 24. He had 33 points and only one made 3-point basket. I mean, that's dominating.
Right.
And that's all he needs. And I said it too, Trey, a couple weeks ago, right before the playoffs. I said, look, if Giannis don't need a 3-point shot, I mean, you got shooters. That's why you go out and get Bryn Forbes. And Bobby Portis has developed his shot with a new shooting coach this year. Chris Middleton is who he's going to be. 3 for 6 tonight for Chris Middleton. I felt like he should have shot a little bit more, but
could have.
Yeah, I said all Giannis needs is that that 12 to 16 footer, whatever, 12 to 17 footer, just something to keep the defense honest. I mean, and the numbers right there show you. I mean, 13 for 24, and just a handful of those two were in and outs that could have easily have fallen in. And look, it's. The Nets know what Giannis wants to do. I just think if you play him down low and you play him inside a little bit more, number one, you're going to wear them down defensively. Look, Blake Griffin don't want to play defense. He don't want to bang down low in the post. That's for sure. So defensively, you're wearing him down. And then when he catches that ball down low, you're collapsing that defense. And that's why you got guys like Bryn Forbes and Bobby Portis and Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton. They're going to knock down those shots. It's going to create a little bit more of a rhythm on offense. And Giannis is an underrated passer. He's going to find the open guy.
Yeah, and I will say, though, for 3 games, now you saw basically first 2 games in Brooklyn, the X factor role player was Blake Griffin.
Right.
In game 3, now pretty much definitely through the first half, maybe through some of the third, impact player for Brooklyn was Bruce Brown. The Bucks have yet to in this series have an impact player off the bench or one of their, role player guys who has, maybe you could say PJ a little bit because he is defending KD. I thought he did a great job tonight.
Absolutely.
But offensively and scoring wise, the Bobby Portis has not played like he's supposed to. Bryn Forbes. Here's the thing. Here's why I feel encouraged, and that's why I was like, can we get this game, even though we're playing ugly? The Bryn Forbes game is coming. I think it's coming. And what if you have a Bryn Forbes game in game 4 and
brand
you
new
don't even
series?
have to? It's a brand new series. It's a best of 3, and let's go your dogs versus our dogs, and probably no James Harden, and let's play some basketball and see where we can go from here. So if you can get a Bryn Forbes game, a Bobby Portis game, a Brook Lopez game, if any of these guys can come through. Hell, if you can have Drew Holiday come through with a 30-point performance, I know he's had a 41-point playoff performance in New Orleans. If you can have anybody outside of hopefully Chris and Giannis step up and play to a level that they are capable of or beyond it, if you can have anybody do that for you in Game 4, some point in the series, you're going to be there. The Bucks still have not had anybody step up and do it. I'll tell you, I thought Pat had some great minutes tonight.
Mm-hmm. He did,
even though he wasn't scoring. He airballed a 3, I think, but. But either way, the Bucks have got to come up with some scoring for some other guys. Tonight, it was Chris and Giannis who carried the load. Somebody's got to step up and really carry some of that burden, shoulder some of that burden from them on offense. And then defensively, though, I still say the Nets made some tough shots in game 1 and game 2, and they made some tonight, but tonight they did not hit a lot of the ones that we saw, the capable shots they were making. I didn't think the Bucks defended that poorly in game 1 and game 2. I mean, I thought, like I said, if you look, I don't know if KD is like shooting like 70-some% on contested shots, which is insane. The Bucks have done a good job defensively. I thought PJ has played well defensively. They've hit some of these shots. They didn't fall tonight as much as they did in the other nights. And so the Bucks were able to keep pace, even though they yucked it up offensively as well.
Yeah, and looking at the box score here, Trey, your best player, according to NBA.com, with the plus or minus category, was PJ Tucker. Now
Sure.
he kept Kevin Durant. Look, guys, like, and I say the same thing. I shrug my shoulders while I'm watching the game. I mean, what else are you supposed to do? I mean, there's nothing you can do. The guy's just, they call him the Slim Reaper for a reason. The dude's he's that's what he does. He's a sniper. Shot under 40% from the field goal and under 37% from 3-point range. He actually
You can't ask for anything better than that.
You can't ask for anything better. And Kevin Durant actually finished with a -6 for the game. And a lot of that, and look, we all know how it goes as NBA fans, number one, and more importantly, Bucks fans. We know how these officials are gonna go with this game. They're gonna give Kevin Durant almost every benefit of the doubt when it comes to the game. But PJ Tucker, an X factor, not only in this series, as we knew that he was going to be going in, he felt, in my opinion, Brooklyn kind of taking over that game in that third quarter. And when he got in Kevin Durant's face,
I love that.
That was something that we needed. It got the crowd back into it. You heard the FU chants or the FU KD chants while he's shooting free throws or anytime he caught the ball. But yeah, I mean, you can't ask for anything better out of PJ Tucker. Now, obviously, Chris Middleton and Giannis, again, tip our caps to both of them because I was harsh on both of them after game 2. They absolutely came out tonight with a mission. They were the best 2 players on the court. You could argue for the game. I don't know where Kyrie Irving went in the fourth quarter. Kevin Durant obviously had some big shots, but Trey, late in that fourth quarter, Chris Middleton's taking shots right back and forth with Kevven Durant. It was great to see.
That was insane theater. They went back and forth, went shot for shot. KD hit the 3 to what it kind of ended that tit for tat there. But Chris went shot for shot with Kevin Durant. That was excellent. That moment where PJ Tucker got in KD's face, and KD actually started it. That's because even though KD was playing, he just wasn't shooting as well as he'd been. That's because PJ has been all up in his grill. He has committed a couple fouls, but that's when you're a pesky defender and you're a hard body and you're playing hard. Like PJ Tucker told you, he's a dog, and the Bucks weren't playing like dogs for game 1 and game 2, but PJ Tucker is an absolute dog. We know that. And he KD got frustrated. He got a little flustered. And he said something to him, and that's the thing. PJ Tucker's a guy where if you say something to him, PJ Tucker's going to say something right back to you and get right back in your face. I loved it. Love the enthusiasm. Love the aggression. How about the second time? I don't know if that might have been the most energized the crowd was. Either the second most or the most energized the crowd was when the Nasty got in there to end the second quarter and got a block. And you knew he was gonna pump the crowd up, and he did it. And absolutely, just like I said, little things like that to turn a little bit of momentum when you need it. And I thought he did a great job, but in his role and his minutes there, seconds there, however long he was in. But the Bucks got to continue to do that, continue to just annoy Brooklyn, continue to be in their face, continue to get hands up, and continue to just be pests all around and play great defense. I thought they did. Brooklyn has responded as well, playing some great defense, but we'll continue to see how this series just progresses in Game 4, and they got to go out and do exactly what they did defensively one more time.
And going real quick, just to touch base on PJ Tucker, going back to Game 2, Kevin Durant was almost 70% from field goal and 3-point percentage in Game 2. So obviously going from 70% to under 40 is, there's your difference in the game. Obviously you want to see a little bit more offense going in, with the Milwaukee Bucks where they were stagnant and stuck at tie game or up by 2 if they could have peeled away a little bit in that fourth quarter, but a win is a win. Real quick before we end the post-game show, moving forward into Game 4, how you feeling real quick, just looking ahead to that game?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. This is what you needed. This is all you could ask for is a win. It didn't matter how you're going to do it. It didn't matter the score, the margin. You needed a win to keep yourself alive. I feel much better than if we had lost Game 3 and you're just trying to save space and some respectability. So at this point, you've done what you need to do to get a win. You're going into Game 4. You still, to me, have got to make some adjustments. There's no reason why you're backing off Kevin Durant. You got to be up in his grill. I'm talking about Brook Lopez in his drops. I don't understand that, and you've got to stay on the attack for Giannis. It's this. Let me tell you something. This effort right here will not win the Game 4. You have to. The Bucks have to find another gear, and they got to find an X factor guy. I don't care if it's Bryn Forbes. Somebody's got to have a game. You wish. This is the game where you almost wish you had Donnie DiVincenzo. Maybe you're gonna have a Dante game. Somebody's got to have this player game. Or you're gonna be hoping that Chris and Giannis carry you again. But Giannis got to stay aggressive, go to the free throw line, make the free throws, do what he does, and the Bucks are gonna have a chance. They're gonna have a chance just like they did in Game 3. I will say that the first 2 games, this team ain't 30 points better than you. There's none of these games should have been out of reach, and that's why the Bucks should have had an opportunity to steal one in Brooklyn, because these are the games you have an opportunity to be in. Brooklyn should have you in games, and we were there. But let me ask you this, and before obviously we're about to wrap up here. But eerily similar to Game 3 in Toronto a couple years ago,
overtime.
Where overtime. Yep. But at the end of the day, Toronto had the Bucks had a chance to make that go up 3-0. The KD hit a 3 to go up 3 for the Nets, and it was one of those games where you almost kind of felt like, man, if Brooklyn takes the lead at some point, this is pretty much going to be it. And I think maybe right after that, I don't know if that was maybe that wasn't the Chris Middleton foul to give you to get the 3 back. It should have been a flagrant. Maybe I'm wrong sequence here, but at some point the Bucks got back into it. It just kind of felt like a game where Brooklyn's gonna be. If the Bucks win Game 4, this is gonna be a game where Brooklyn's kicking themselves because they probably felt like they didn't play. They know they didn't play well. They could have played better, and they know the Bucks also gave them opportunities to win as well. They didn't do it. They didn't close the door. Go up 3-0. That's pretty much it. You gave the Bucks life. That's what you did. So right now, the Bucks were kind of dead. They've won the game, and now you have some life. And if you win Game 4 and you win 2 in a row against this Brooklyn Nets team, this whole series, because it's already started right now. Momentum is a little bit. That's changed things. You win a game, that changes things. You win 2 against a Brooklyn team who just beat you down. This is an entirely different series. We're talking about a 3-game race to the finish, and you're going to give Bucks fans a feeling like they have a feeling that they're in this. That 5 Stars going to be rocking on Sunday, and they're going to have a chance to win a basketball game and to tie this thing up before you go back to Brooklyn.
And Trey, I like to keep it 100 on this show. All of the pressure is on Brooklyn. All of the pressure has been on Brooklyn since the start of since the start of the season. They are supposed to win. Now that LeBron James and Anthony Davis are out of the playoffs, they are supposed to win the NBA championship. There is no excuse. I don't care if you lose James Harden. You have the best scorer in the NBA, maybe NBA history. You have a top 3 maybe the best point guard in the NBA. That might be a stretch, but who knows? At times he is.
At times, yes.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that about James Harden. You already see the excuses piling up about, could you imagine if James Harden was playing? It doesn't matter. Like Marcus Johnson used to say, or does say, that ain't our problem. That ain't our issue. James Harden's not in the game. All the pressure is on Brooklyn. Brooklyn knows. And I firmly believe this, Trey. I'm a homer through and through. I love my team more than anything. I'll defend Giannis. I said it after game 2. I love Giannis just as much as I love my children. If Milwaukee wins game 4, Milwaukee is winning this series. And I believe that because a couple things. Number one, Brooklyn's going to start feeling it. And this team hasn't been pushed around yet. They've gotten everything that they've wanted. But Boston didn't play half the team in Boston was injured. The Bucks win game 4. You're going to get a little bit of attention. You can feel it building with that team. And that locker room is quite the dynamic. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. This is just an assumption on my end. You're absolutely right when you say Brooklyn is looking at game 3 like, damn, that was it right there. Because if they drop game 4, they're going to still look back at game 3. And even in game 4, they might be peaking at game 3 because you heard Blake Griffin on the mic. He was mic'd up. I think it was right after the first quarter. He said, we're all right. We're down, but we just got to hit shots. Look, Brooklyn hit shots in big moments tonight. And the Bucks came down and answered, primarily Chris Middleton. If you get, like you said, one of these guys outside of your big 2, maybe your big 3, Drew, I think, is going to play a better game. And I think Drew would tell you tonight it just wasn't his night. Offensively and defensively, he was sloppy with the ball in transition. He did obviously have the big bucket to take the lead late in that game. And he had some good defensive moments too. But I think you'll see a better Drew Holiday. And I also think you're right, man. Bryn Forbes is coming. We haven't seen it yet. He hasn't really, when he's out there hasn't really been any rhythm with him. He's kind of catching the ball and just and stepping back and not setting himself and getting kind of wild with the ball. I think game 4, and I'm back on the Bucks hype train, but I do think that if they win game 4, my opinion is I think they will. I think they go on to win this series. Is that a little bit of a stretch there?
I'll say this for a totality. Yeah, I think the pressure's on Brooklyn to win the whole thing. And you're right. If you remember, the pressure was on Brooklyn. There was no James Harden. They traded for James Harden. This was people were talking about Brooklyn winning it all when it was just KD and Kyrie. So I don't. This is back to when you told me they should have won. I'm not talking about you, but yeah. This is when everybody collective was telling me they were title favorites with KD and Kyrie. Then they added James Harden and put more pressure on him. Now James Harden ain't there. Oh, so we're back to square one. The pressure's still on you to win it. I agree with that. In this series, I still think pressure's still on the Bucks. You got to serve home court. You got to win home court. You have to protect it, and you have to win game 4. So I think pressure's still on the Bucks to win game 4. Obviously, if the Bucks do complete that task, then of course all pressure for the rest is everything goes on Brooklyn, and it's there are gonna be some questions out in Brooklyn about this series if the Bucks do finish that off and win game 4. A lot of questions going to be asked in that Brooklyn media. Around the media, in general, NBA media in general, about what Brooklyn's going to do, because that's 2 straight we will see them lose. So I think the pressure's on the Bucks. I think it's a little. I almost want to agree with you and say if the Bucks win 2 in a row, they may have figured out. I want to see how game 4 progresses, what it looks like, how they win it if they do. But I agree. I think that does put a lot of pressure on Brooklyn. Tonight, it was a weird game. It was a very weird game.
Weird.
So weird. But I don't care how it happens. Game 4, the Bucks pull out a win. You're gonna have some questions for Brooklyn. Everything goes back to them. The Bucks should be an extremely confident group. And I understand that Brooklyn's probably gonna say, "Well, we played a terrible game. We only lost by a couple points." Well, the Bucks are gonna say the same. It wasn't like the Bucks played great and you lost by. The Bucks played just as bad, and were able to stay in this game. And finish it out. And there was some good shot making down the stretch. Reminded me of an NCAA tournament game where there's a lot of bad basketball, but it was close and exciting at the end. And the Bucks were able to finish it out. I got to run, put the kids to bed. But
hey, real quick, drop your Twitter handle for me.
So it's if I remember, it's TCIIIESQ. I think it's TC3ESQ. Yeah. If I'm I never do this. So
you got it.
Is that it? Is that it?
You got it. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, I wanted to double check for you.
There it is. We're on Saturdays from 10 to noon, 97.3 the game on your T's and Q's. And man, I appreciate you allowing me on to come
Oh,
talk to you.
absolutely, man. And I appreciate you for jumping on. And I'm going to tell you right now, Trey, two things, and I'm going to let you go. Number one, good luck on your move to North Carolina. I lived there for a few years. I loved it there. And number two, if the Bucks win Sunday, I expect to see you back here.
All right, good deal. We'll do it.
Have a good one, man.
Thank you. Peace out.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for the show for tonight. Again, Bucks win. Absolutely a must-win game. I'm going to go to bed happy. I have Olive Garden waiting for me upstairs, so I'm going to bed happy tonight. The Bucks do win a big game, 86-83. They move ahead to Game 4. Tip-off, I believe, is 2 p.m. on Sunday. So look forward to that post-game show to follow. If you guys are on the live chat, live feed, thank you so much. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Don't forget to follow the show on Twitter and Facebook at Brew City Pod. And if you're out there on the YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button. I would so greatly appreciate that. I got a listener over here, CR Mets 23. He's out there in Raleigh, North Carolina. I used to live a little bit south over there, a little southeast of Raleigh, out near Fayetteville, North Carolina. So it's good to see listeners all over the place. If you're out there on Twitter, follow me on Twitter at Wisco_Brandon. That will do it for tonight's post-game show. Bucks win big time. I think they're going to go ahead and win Game 4, and we'll break it all down here as we always do. As always, do not leave the show without wishing you well. Thank you guys for tuning in, and as I always do, go Bucks, go Brewers, be safe, Milwaukee, and I will talk to you guys soon.